This is my 5th episode of my Pokemon HeartGold Grass-type monologue. If you haven't seen the previous videos, I suggest you go get caught up. Otherwise, let's dive back in where we left off. In the prior episode, I vanquished the Team Rocket threat in the radio tower, but at significant cost, as my Jumpluff was a casualty of the Executive Archer battle. But all is not lost, as we can immediately replace our fallen friend with a new encounter, Tangela on Route 44. I name her Chives, and she quickly evolves into Tangrowth, while with the help of a Sunstone, Basil the Gloom blossoms into, Blossom. And these reinforcements arrive just in time for the final gym battle with Claire. I lead with Blossom, whose sole job is to stall Claire's Gyarados out of Dragon Rage PP with Protect and Moonlight. Once this is complete, I bring in Parsley to set up dual screens and then switch to Chives, who lands a Stun Spore before we switch back to my starter as Reflect fades. Meganium re-establishes Reflect before I switch to the real star of the show, Sunflora. Being paralysed with no Dragon Rage PP, Claire's Water Snake is looking pretty impotent from behind my Reflect, and this lets Time set up a couple of growths while taking minimal damage in return. However, with her health starting to get a bit low, Time then needs to set up Sunny Day to maximise the healing output of Synthesis. With this, she can recover to full HP and mostly stay out of the critical hit range of Gyarados' bites now that Reflect has faded once more. Time can therefore get 5 growths set up, which is what she needs to OHKO the rest of Claire's team. The problem is that Sunflora isn't exactly known for being a special sweeper, thanks to its atrocious 30 base speed. But that's where my next move comes in. A quick turn of Sunny Day activates Time's Chlorophyll ability, doubling her speed. I actually then go and make a mistake by healing with another Synthesis, giving Gyarados a chance to inflict more damage than I recovered. But I'm not punished, as she just gets fully paralysed. And after all that setup, Time can finally go on the offensive with her +5 special attack 120 base power Solar Beam, which cleans out Gyarados. Claire's first Dragonair comes out and this one knows Fire Blast, but thanks to Chlorophyll being activated, Time outspeeds her foe and another one-turn Solar Beam wipes out the dragon, as well as Claire's second Dragonair, which immediately follows. Gotta love that Sunny Day synergy. The sunlight fades as Claire's Ace Kingdra comes out, and that earlier Synthesis is looking like a real fuck-up now. But it actually doesn't matter. Claire's Kingdra is still faster than Sunflora even in the sun, so instead I prepare by giving her a Chillin' Berry to negate the risk of Time being OHKO'd by a sniper-boosted critical Hyper Beam. But despite Hyper Beam being her most damaging move, Kingdra opts for Dragon Pulse, which thankfully doesn't crit on either turn, as Sunflora sets up another Sunny Day and fires off one final Sunbeam to win me the fight. And with that, the gym challenge is now complete. Although before I can progress to the Pokemon League, I have to battle the Pomona girls. But the only real test is stalling Mickey's Flareon out of Fire Blast PP, and Parsley manages to do this thanks to Light Screen Protect, Synthesis, and a held Occa Berry. There's also a bit of story stuff to follow, which involves an encounter with the fire-flying legendary Pokemon Ho-Oh at the top of Bell Tower. This is an absolutely terrifying prospect for my team of herbs. But with hours of dedicated and meticulous planning, I have devised a cunning strategy to deal with such a menacing threat. And with that, I can march into Kanto and on towards the Indigo Plateau. But before I can step foot in that hallowed arena, my rival Bland, in his quest to rid the world of flavor, ambushes me just as I am leaving Victory Road. His lead Sneasel is no match for Blossom though, who tanks a feint attack before responding with a 4 times effective Drain Punch for a clean OHKO. This draws out Golbat, who Basil can put to sleep before switching to Parsley. He sets up Light Screen before bringing the bat back down to earth with a few newly learned Body Slams. This, however, brings out Bland's biggest threat, his Typhlosion, which is now fully evolved and knows the devastating Lava Plume. Meganium outspeeds and lands a strong Body Slam for about a third of Typhlosion's HP before getting hit by a Flame Wheel, whose damage is suppressed by a held Occa Berry. My team's Light Screen fades as I scout with Protect, which confirms that Typhlosion will now start opting for Lava Plume without a screen in place. So Parsley re-establishes Light Screen, which allows him to take the incoming Lava Plume relatively safely. But then disaster strikes as Typhlosion lands the 30% burn chance. Having to carry 2 HM users in my party to get to this part of Victory Road means my options are limited. Meganium can take another non-critical Lava Plume, so my best bet is to go on the attack. And Parsley comes in clutch as although his next Body Slam barely scratches my rival's ace, he lands the Paralysis on Typhlosion. I switch back to Basil and Typhlosion gets immediately fully paralysed, which allows Blossom to land a Drain Punch for around half of her foe's remaining HP, while Typhlosion gets fully paralysed again. Luck is certainly with us today. Another Drain Punch brings Typhlosion to a Sliver, who finally lands an attack with Flame Wheel. But I've also given Basil a Knocker Berry, so she shrugs off the fire attack and takes down Bland's biggest threat with a Leaf Blade. And yes, I'm running a physical attacker moveset on a Blossom. Haunter comes in next and places a Curse on Basil, but this is exactly what I wanted, as she hits back with a Leaf Blade to knock out the Spook. With Basil Curse and her HP running low, I'm forced to switch to Sunflora against Kadabra, which fails with Disable before setting up Reflect. Time can then set up her own Sunny Day, allowing her to outspeed Kadabra on the next turn and OHKO it with a 1-turn Solar Beam. I was intending to use Fennel with Dig against Magneton, but with Reflect up and Harsh Sunlight active, as my Parasect has a Dry Skin ability, I decided to just go on the offensive with Sunflora. Her first Solar Beam does about 75% damage to Magneton, in exchange for being paralyzed, but all it can do is land a soft Magnet Bomb, and Time retaliates with one more Solar Beam to send my rival packing. And so we make it to the Elite Four, with a full team of 6. But we are far from ready to be able to challenge them just yet. Roll that Elite Four preparation montage. First up, we're gonna need some EVs. Yeah, EV grinding is kinda lame, but seriously, have you seen Lance's team? They're all flying types and he has 3 illegal Dragonites, 2 of whom know Blizzard and Fire Blast. There's no way I can safely plan for this fight without a bit of targeted EV investment. So we grind a few special attack EVs onto Tangrowth and Execute, who also gets a few defense EVs, and then comes the next stage of our planning. This involves a trip to the Pokeathlon.
No.
Where I can fail miserably over and over at the various events to earn enough points to buy a Leaf Stone to finally evolve Tarragon. If you're wondering why I didn't do this earlier in the run, it's because Execute learns Psychic at level 47, conveniently the E4 level cap, whereas Executor only learns this fantastic attack via TM. One quick evolution cutscene later, we're back in Indigo Plateau and we're ready to roll. Here's a quick reminder of my flourishing friends who I hope can carry me all the way to becoming champion. Up first is Chives the Tangrowth, Tarragon the Executor, Fennel the Parasect, Basil the Blossom, Time the Sunflora, and Parsley my trusty starter. Can they do just that? Or will the myriad of bug, poison, fire, and flying Pokemon that stand before us leave my flora cut down like a freshly mowed lawn? Let's find out in the next episode, because this is Red Fog, saying TTFN.